Welcome back to another video, guys and girls, and today we're doing a bit of urban LRF. I'm in the middle of a block of flats and I'm going to attempt to catch a codling. It's a spot I've had earmarked for quite a while. I meant to try it all over the winter and never got round to it, and I've been somewhere else today which was a bit of a blowout, and I made a 40-minute drive in the opposite direction to home, just for maybe an hour's fishing before it gets dark, just see if I can nick one fish and see if we can salvage the session. So yeah, we're gonna get into it. We're gonna be fishing really simple, light jig heads, 2 gram, 3 gram jig heads with Shirasu. It's my go-to on a jig head, just bounce it on the bottom basically and just see if we can pick up. A codling would be nice, a flounder would be nice, anything really, anything that wants to eat my bait I'll be very, very, very appreciative of. Let's see what we can do. Oh, got a fish. Oh, it's quite big. What is it? Oh, it's pulling drag. Oh my God, what is it? I haven't seen it yet. Oh my God, it's cod. It's a nice cod. Oh my God. Right, now. Oh my God, can I reach it? Can I reach it? Oh, yes. Oh my God. Oh my God, let's get a proper look at it. Well, I'm going to make this really quick because I don't want to get this fish out of the water any longer than I have to. That is my first ever LRF codling. Let's get a proper look at it. Absolutely made up with that. You see the Shirasu in its mouth there. We're going to get this one straight back in the water and just see if we can tick something else off. Brilliant fun. Well, I am absolutely over the moon. I'm only going to fish for maybe 40 minutes, so that one fish is a hell of a success. And it was one of those spots that I'd had earmarked. I kept meaning to try, never got around to doing. Literally less than 5 minutes and had a fish like that. It's probably my biggest LRF fish to date, and my first ever LRF codling, and my first ever codling since I've moved to the northeast. So I'm well chuffed with that. We're going to fish for a little while longer. If I don't catch anything more, I don't really care. I'm absolutely over the moon. And yeah, let's just fish on. I wouldn't have caught it on camera, but as I landed that fish, there was a guy standing outside his flat having a cigarette, and he said to me, Christ, he said, in 5 years living here, that's only the second fish I've seen caught. I said, oh well, I said, it wouldn't have been me the first time. I said, that's the first time I've been here. Oh right, okay. He said, what is that then? Is that a trout or a salmon? I said, well, I said, it's neither. I said, it's a cod. He's like, a cod? I said, yeah. I said, this is salt water, you know, it's unlikely to be a trout or a salmon. Oh right, I never knew that. You know, how on earth can you live literally on top of somewhere and not know whether it's salt or fresh water? It absolutely blows my mind. But that shows the sort of willful ignorance people have towards water and the rivers and the sea and all sorts. People just don't know or care, I don't think. It just baffles me a little bit. I don't know if it's just me, but I actually really like the sort of weird juxtaposition of fishing for something like codling in around a block of flats. I imagine the everyday person would find that absolutely like mind-blowing. You know, they're having their codfish fingers, and just outside their window, the very same fish is living in a little pool that they never thought a fish lived in. I think that's really cool. I don't get me wrong, I love these like beautiful wild spaces full of, you know, incredible fish, but these little hidden gems, you know, in urban spots around towns and cities are almost just as special. They're their own little weird ecosystems, and I think it's important that we look after these places and sort of nourish them a bit, and actually maybe shine a light on them so people care about them. Yeah, just a thought that came to my mind. I thought it was quite funny and worth sharing. Oof, that was lucky. I don't quite know what happened there, but my braid just parted under no pressure, so I must have nicked it on something. I'm just going to hand wind this back in and retie the leader back on. You watch the fish hit this as I'm winding it in. Okay, I don't leave it much longer, I don't think. I'll cut the casts and we'll call it a day. I don't want to be out all night, I've got work tomorrow, so just a handful more, I think. Okay, let's call it a day. I think what I'm going to do is, rather than doing an outro now, I'm going to pick this back up in front of a camera at home, and I'm going to run you through a little bit of what I'm using and how I'm using it, because I haven't really gone into much detail today, so I think that will add some value to the video if I show you a little bit of the tactics and the techniques, as well as just that coddling. Okay, so we're back at home. It is well after the fact, probably 3 weeks since I filmed the first part of that video. I've just got round to editing it and finish off this little bit of filming. So we're going to do exactly what I said I was going to do. I'm going to run you through what I was using in the video and give you a little bit of an insight into why I was using it. So yeah, it's really simple. It sort of seems like I'm teaching you guys to suck eggs at this point, but there'll be a few guys here who haven't done this type of fishing, so this is for you. That's what I was using. So that is just a plain and simple jig head. But it's quite a peculiar shape. For those of you who don't do the LRF stuff, you probably wouldn't have encountered a shape of jig head like that. You're probably more used to the traditional sort of round front or ball head on the jig head. But there's a reason I use that particular shape. When I'm LRF fishing, generally you're fishing around sort of rocks and structure and things like that, and reefs. And also, where I was fishing that video and a lot of my other fishing, it's in quite urban areas. So you do tend to fish around stuff that people have chucked in. For whatever reason, that shape of jig head I just find doesn't snag as much. I think it's the shape of the front where the weight of the lead is sort of front loaded. It tends to hit a snag or something, and where the line ties a little bit further out, it just changes the angle and just pings out. So you don't lose as much gear. And my LRF fishing started with a small hook and some split shot. And I've just evolved it over time into doing more of the kind of fishing and the style of fishing that I do everywhere. And everyone knows I love a jig head. So that's my go-to. That's what I was using in that video. The other thing I sometimes add to these jig heads is, as you can see on this one, there's just a little piece of plastic, light colour plastic, just behind the jig head. And that's called a moon glow, I think. Don't definitely quote me on that. And it's a glow-in-the-dark piece of plastic. It comes in like a strip. I just cut a little bit off and slide it on the jig head before I slide my lure on. If I'm fishing at night, I like that. Not necessarily as a fish attractant, although I'm sure it does something to attract the fish. It's more for me to be able to see it. So that little bit of you charge it under a headlamp, charged plastic that glows bright, I can see it a long way off. So if my lure's not directly in the beam of my headlamp, or if I want to turn my headlamp off, it gives me an idea of where I'm casting. So that's that. The lure I caught the codling on in the video is that. Now, that is an Eco Gear Shirasu. Doesn't look like much, but it is an absolutely deadly lure. I've caught loads of fish on it. It's mega popular for a lot of people. And all I'm doing, you've seen that video, is just lifting it off the bottom and catching up the line, and just as it's falling, just jiggling the rod tip. And all it does is just gets that ball tail moving, and it displaces quite a bit of water for quite a small lure, and draws fish in from a fair distance. The Eco Gear Shirasus come in a few different sizes. They may not even all be called Shirasus, but that's just what I categorise them as. But most of them come with the same front and just a different tail. I'll show you a couple now. There's another one that is like a split tail with a sort of ribbed midsection of the body. I really liked that. I used that quite a bit over the winter, not with great success, but I did hook some really big place and lost all of them. So that's another video in itself, and we'll revisit that at a later date. But that one I really like when it just sits static. It just sits straight up like that, and that little ribbed body and the fork tail tends to be quite attractive. So that's another one. I'll show you another one now. Okay, this one's more similar to what you'd be used to seeing if you was using the Maracai, yeah, the Maracaibo isome or the Berkeley Gulp is more of a ragworm imitation, just sort of a flatter profile with the ribs down the side. But it has the same sort of bulbed head, so it's got somewhere for you to mount your jig head, just a little bit chunky. And again, that has some great applications. I've used that on the jig head and on the drop shot, on the split shot rig. It's got lots of different applications. So yeah, I classify all those as the Eco Gear Shirasso, which is, I don't know if you'd class it as a lure. You'd probably class it as a artificial bait, very similar to the Maracaibo isome and the Berkeley Gulp. Yeah, absolutely deadly. Hopefully that's given you some sort of insight into what I was doing. You know, my setup for LRF fishing is really simple. I like to fish with a really, really light rod, but quite long, because sometimes I like to put small metals on, and that length gives you the ability to cast a long way. And a really light braid, £4 is all I'd be using, down to a short, light fluorocarbon leader. Again, probably £4, £3, something like that. And I do like to use a very small clip, Spro, do some really, really like, tiny clips. I think they're called fluoro clips, which are perfect for LRF. Just allows me to change jig head weight really quickly without cutting the leader and starting again. So hopefully it's given you a little bit of an insight into what I was doing in this video. Like I said, it's been a long time since that, and I'm still buzzing over that codling. Fingers crossed the weather improves. So I would like to do a bit more saltwater stuff over the summer, but we haven't really had a summer yet, and we're already into July. So if we can all collectively put our prayers towards it and get some summer going, that would be brilliant. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you got this far, I'm impressed. Hopefully you've taken some value from it. As usual, all the boring stuff. I'd really appreciate any likes, comments, and especially subscribes. We're still getting about 65 to 70% of you guys that are watching these videos that aren't the subscribers, which makes no odds to you, but it makes huge odds to me. I'd really, really appreciate that if you get on board, and it gives you an opportunity to see anything else I do in the future. So I'm going to stop waffling. We're going to wrap it up there. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.